Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a hilarious story for you here today titled 40-plus-year-old woman leaves her husband only to instantly regret it. You know, there is something that is deeply funny about women who are 40 plus years of age. You know, they're the older ladies, okay? And they think, oh, I can leave my husband or I can leave my boyfriend and I'm going to be able to find a better man, right? My Prince Charming, well, he's in my DMs on Facebook. So if I just leave my husband, then my life is going to be so much better. And usually, guys, it isn't. Okay. They end up returning to the streets, and the streets are a very cold place for a 40-plus-year-old divorced woman who is usually also a single mother at this point, especially if she tries to take the kids or something. Maybe the kids are out of the house by this point. Who knows? But it is hilarious nonetheless. Guys, don't forget to leave a like on your way in. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new here. And let's take a listen to this story. So, a 45-year-old man recounts how his wife of nearly 2 decades, man, who's 42, blindsided him with a midlife breakup, chasing excitement and independence. But just months after leaving, reality hit her harder than expected, and she wanted it all back. Okay, so she left at 42 years of age, thinking, I'm going to go out there and have my fun. I'm going to go out there and screw around with some dudes, and then when I'm done, I'm going to be able to settle down with one of these dudes who is better than my husband of 2 decades. Maybe I can get a man who's taller. Maybe I can get a man who makes more money. And of course, it doesn't work out for her. She completely screwed up. He says, I'm a 45-year-old guy, and my now ex-wife is 42. We were married for 17 years, man. No major issues, he says, at least that's what I believed, until one random Thursday afternoon when she told me she wanted a separation. She said that she felt empty. Her exact words, I feel like I have missed out. I need to find myself. So this is the phrase that, you know, the real translation to phrases like this, guys, it's never about, you know, personal exploration, having some sort of spiritual enlightenment, okay? All that it is she wants to go out there and hook up with dudes. That's what she feels like she's missing out on. She feels like she's missing out on having relations with other men. And usually it's physical. Okay, so enough of this esoteric, like, oh, I need to find myself. Okay, I need to go into the mountains and, you know, I need to pray for 35 years. That's not what this is. Okay, this is going to some dude's bedroom for 35 minutes at a time. That's all that it is, man. He says it completely came out of left field. One minute we were talking about dinner plans. The next she was packing a bag to go stay with a friend for a while. She assured me that there was nobody else, which is a lie. And he says, but I'm not naive. You don't walk out on a marriage unless there's at least an idea of something better. I didn't press too hard. I just let her go. This is the appropriate response, by the way, guys. Like, a lot of dudes are kind of brainwashed by society. Like, oh, you have to fight for your marriage, right? You have to fight for your relationship. I think that's stupid. If the woman wants to leave, goodbye. The door, when you leave, will be shut permanently. I think that's the way to handle it, guys. I really do. None of this like, oh, let's go to marriage therapy, okay? Let's have some marriage counselor piece of crap, right? Tell me about what a bad husband I am and all of the things that I need to do to repair our relationship because you feel emotionally abandoned. You know, it's not happening. Just let the woman go, okay? Let her screw over her life, and you can watch. You can set your watch to it, and you can have a good laugh. You know? I think that's the way to handle it. Just let the woman go, man. The first few weeks were a bit of a blur. I barely ate. I kept going over every detail in my head. Was I boring? Did I get too comfortable? Did I miss the signs? I even considered seeing a therapist just to make sense of the what she dropped on me. But then something strange started to happen. I started to enjoy the peace. The house was quiet, it was clean, and it was free of tension. I didn't realize how emotionally on edge I'd been for the last couple of years until I wasn't anymore. And this is what I'm talking about, guys, is like, so many dudes, they'll get out of marriages, right? Long-term marriages, long-term relationships. And you know that these relationships were a pain in the ass because the guy feels better after a bit. You know, once all of the hormones have been flushed out and it kind of settles in, you realize that the house is actually a more pleasant place to live in. You know, and this is a good sign that maybe the trash took itself out, if you see what I'm saying. Maybe the dude this is a bit of a blessing in disguise for him. I think, truthfully, these sorts of situations are blessings in disguise for a lot of men. That's what I truly think, guys. I think a lot of these women should have never even received a ring in the first place, to be honest with you. He says, meanwhile, she was out rediscovering herself, new hairstyle. Okay. New wardrobe, posting inspirational quotes on social media about freedom and rebirth. Then the honeymoon phase ended, the selfies stopped, the quotes dried up, and the messages started rolling in. Yep, set your watch to this crap, guys. Oh my goodness, it is funny. Especially if you just ignore them, right? If you actually just don't try and contact them whatsoever, maybe your life is going better, right? Maybe you get a promotion or something, or you start your own business and it's going well, whatever. You can set your watch to this crap. It's so funny. Oh, can we just stay friends? Can we keep talking? Do you want to maybe go out for lunch sometime? No, I don't. That sounds like a terrible idea. I'd rather do things that I can't say here on YouTube or I'll get banned. Let's continue. He says, at around the 3-month mark, she sent me a message. Hey, can we talk? She admitted that she'd been lonely. Oh, look at that, guys. She's been lonely. That dating at 42 wasn't what she thought it would be, that she missed the comfort of home. I asked her point blank if she had left for someone else. She hesitated, then admitted that there had been someone she had been talking to, but he ghosted her 2 weeks after she moved out. Some jokes, guys, like, what's the saying? Some jokes just write themselves. I think that applies here. I think that's hilarious. What she didn't know was that during those months apart, I had changed too. I started hitting the gym. I picked up a few hobbies that I had let slide, and I reconnected with friends. For the first time in years, I felt like me again. And truth be told, I'd started talking to someone else. Nothing serious, but enough to realize that I still had value and I still had options. And what's the bet, by the way, guys, that this woman that this dude is talking to is probably less of a headache. Now, that doesn't mean that this woman is always going to be less of a headache, but, you know, guys, if they're going to sit there and compare, a lot of these dudes will just say, I actually don't have any interest getting back with my ex-wife or ex-girlfriend whatsoever, because they remember how stressful it was, right? Not in the sense of stressful of like, oh, you know, you have bills to pay that are overdue. It's just the constant nonsense that a lot of these women will give you, and it just makes your life more stressful for no reason. So a lot of guys, when they sit there and they actually do this comparison, like, hey, I could talk to this other woman in a non-serious capacity, or I could go back to my ex-wife. The dudes are obviously not going to choose to go back to their ex-wife because they remember how damn awful it was. He says, she begged me to give it another shot, said that she made a mistake and that she realized she had been going through a phase. That's nice. She said that we could rebuild, that our history meant something, but history isn't a reason to stay in something that's already been buried. I wasn't angry. I was just done. She couldn't believe that I said no. When I told her that I was not interested in getting back together, she absolutely lost it. She started crying, yelling, calling me cold. She actually said, I didn't expect you to move on so fast. Funny how that works. Yeah, funny how that works. He says, I think she genuinely believed that she could leave me, live some eat, pray, love fantasy for a bit, and then come back to a loyal husband who had been sitting by the door like a Labrador. I agree with this. I think this was her... I think a lot of these women, they do this because they think that the man is going to wait around on them, so that there's actually going to be no actual repercussions to the nonsense. He says, but the world doesn't work that way. At 42, the dating market isn't what it was at 25, and men who've been loyal for 17 years are not actually obligated to hit the reset button just because you had a midlife itch. I agree, man. I totally agree with this guy, and, you know, it's sad that this was done to a 17-year-old marriage, by the way, right? Like, this marriage was going on 2 decades, man, which is sad. But, you know, just because the marriage had been nearly 2 decades doesn't mean that the man actually owes you insofar as letting you back in his life. Does that make sense? You know, like, yes, you guys have history, but the history doesn't guarantee you a slot in the dude's life when you decide to leave him first. That makes no sense whatsoever. Guys, we are going to be leaving today's episode there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.